Imagine you're 45 years old. Retirement is only 20 years away. You open YouTube and hear one expert say, buy rental properties. Real estate made more millionaires than anything else. Then another expert says, forget tenants. Just buy index funds and let compound interest do the work. Now you're stuck. Should you buy rental properties? Should you invest in stocks? What if you choose wrong? What if the market crashes? What if inflation eats away your savings? What if you retire and discover your nest egg isn't enough? These are the fears keeping millions of future retirees awake at night. And here's the scary part. Most people spend decades working for retirement, but only a few hours deciding how they'll actually fund it. In this video, we're going to compare real estate and stocks, specifically through the lens of retirement planning. We'll walk through a realistic 20-year example. We'll look at income, risk, taxes, stress, time commitment, liquidity, and long-term wealth. And by the end of this video, you'll know which investment is better for building retirement income, and which one may quietly sabotage your retirement goals if you don't understand the trade-offs. Here, let's meet two investors. Sarah and David are both 45 years old. They each have $100,000 saved for retirement. They both earn similar incomes. They both want financial freedom by age 65. The only difference is how they invest. Sarah chooses real estate. David chooses index funds. Sarah uses her $100,000 as a down payment on a rental property portfolio worth $500,000. She takes out mortgages and begins collecting rent. David invests the same $100,000 into a diversified total stock market index fund. He also contributes $500 every month. Neither investor is smarter than the other. Neither has insider knowledge. Both simply believe their chosen path will help them retire comfortably. But which one actually wins? Keep watching, because later we'll reveal the retirement factor almost nobody includes when comparing stocks and real estate, and it changes everything. At first glance, Sarah looks like the genius. She owns physical assets. She can drive by her properties. She can see them, touch them, show them to friends. Every month rent checks arrive. That feels like retirement income. And psychologically, that's powerful. Many people dream about retiring on rental income. The idea sounds simple. Collect rent, retire rich. On paper, Sarah's numbers look impressive. The properties generate thousands of dollars in monthly rent. Property values slowly rise. Tenants help pay down mortgages. And because she's using leverage, a relatively small amount of money controls a much larger asset. This is one of real estate's biggest advantages. If property values rise, gains are amplified. But here's something retirement investors often overlook. Rental income is not the same as retirement income. At least not initially. Because before Sarah keeps a dollar, expenses show up. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, vacancies, repairs, management, unexpected emergencies. And those expenses never stop. For the first few years, everything seems fine. Then reality arrives. A tenant moves out. The property sits vacant. A water heater fails. The roof starts leaking. Insurance premiums increase. Property taxes rise. Suddenly, the passive income doesn't feel very passive. Many retirement investors make a dangerous mistake. They calculate rent, then subtract the mortgage, then assume what's left is profit. Unfortunately, that's not how real estate works. Successful real estate investing is a business, and every business has costs. Imagine retiring at 65 and receiving a phone call because a pipe burst in one of your rental units. That's not exactly the retirement most people imagine. Now, none of this means real estate is bad, far from it. But if you're counting on rentals to fund retirement, you need realistic expectations. Remember this point, because later we'll compare these hidden costs to one of the biggest advantages stock investors enjoy. Meanwhile, David's journey feels completely different. No tenants, no properties, no rent checks, no stories to tell at dinner parties, just a brokerage account. And honestly, that's why many people underestimate stocks. Nothing exciting appears to happen. Year 1, the account grows. Year 2, it grows again. Some years it falls, some years it rises. Most of the time it's boring. But boring is often where wealth gets built. David isn't trying to beat the market. He isn't day trading. He isn't chasing hot stocks. He's simply buying a diversified index fund and letting compounding do the heavy lifting. The problem is that compounding feels slow, very slow. In fact, during the first few years, many investors get frustrated because progress appears insignificant. But retirement planning isn't about excitement. It's about outcomes. And that's where things start getting interesting. Let's fast forward 7 years. David has continued investing consistently. His portfolio is growing not only from new contributions, but from gains on previous gains. This is where compounding begins to accelerate. Think of it like a snowball rolling downhill. At first, the snowball barely grows. Then it becomes impossible to stop. Many retirement investors quit before reaching this stage. They see slow growth during the early years and assume something better must exist. That's a costly mistake, because the biggest growth often happens during the final decade before retirement. In other words, the years most people are tempted to give up are often the years that matter most. And later in this video, we'll see exactly how that affects retirement income. After 20 years, Sarah is now 65. David is also 65. At first glance, the race appears close. Sarah's properties have appreciated. Her tenants have paid down a significant portion of her mortgages. Her equity has grown substantially. David's portfolio has also expanded through market growth and monthly contributions. If you only look at net worth, the numbers might appear surprisingly similar. This is where many online debates stop. One side declares real estate the winner. The other side declares stocks the winner. But retirement planning isn't just about net worth. It's about lifestyle. It's about flexibility. It's about how much stress you carry into retirement. And this is where the comparison becomes more interesting. Sarah has spent years managing properties. David has spent years doing almost nothing. Sarah concentrated much of her wealth in a few properties. David spread his wealth across thousands of companies. Both approaches have strengths. Both have weaknesses. But we're still missing the most important retirement question. What happens when they actually stop working? This is the section most investment comparisons completely ignore. Accumulating wealth is one challenge. Turning that wealth into retirement income is another challenge entirely. At age 65, Sarah's rental properties are generating income. That's fantastic. But income comes with ongoing responsibilities. Maintenance never retires. Repairs never retire. Tenants never retire. Property taxes never retire. Even if the mortgages are paid off, the work doesn't completely disappear. Some retirees love this. They enjoy managing properties. They enjoy staying involved. For them, real estate can be an excellent retirement strategy. But others want freedom. They want to travel, visit grandchildren, move across the country, spend months abroad. Managing rental properties can complicate that lifestyle. David faces a different situation. His stock portfolio doesn't send large monthly rent checks. Instead, he can gradually withdraw money from his investments. Historically, many financial planners have used withdrawal strategies designed to make retirement savings last for decades. No tenants, no maintenance, no midnight emergencies. Just a portfolio that continues working in the background. Neither approach is perfect. But now we're finally asking the right question. Which retirement lifestyle do you actually want? Let's talk about everyone's biggest fear. What happens when things go wrong? Stock investors fear market crashes. And understandably so. Watching a portfolio lose 20%, 30%, or even 40% of its value can be emotionally devastating. Many investors panic. They sell, then miss the recovery. But real estate investors face risks too. Property values can fall. Tenants can stop paying. Unexpected repairs can wipe out cash flow. Interest rates can rise. Local markets can weaken. The key lesson is simple. Risk doesn't disappear. It changes form. Stock market risk is visible. Real estate risk often arrives disguised as maintenance bills, vacancies, lawsuits, and leverage. The best retirement investors understand both types of risk instead of pretending one doesn't exist. Taxes matter enormously in retirement. Real estate offers unique advantages. Depreciation can reduce taxable income. Certain exchanges may allow investors to defer taxes. Rental property owners often have deductions unavailable to stock investors. Stocks also have tax advantages. Long-term capital gains rates can be favorable. Retirement accounts may offer tax-deferred or tax-free growth depending on the account type. The mistake is assuming one asset class automatically wins. The real winner depends on your specific situation, your income, your location, your retirement timeline, your estate planning goals. Taxes are important, but taxes alone should never determine your retirement strategy. Here's a question few people ask. How much freedom does your investment create? Many investors focus exclusively on returns, but retirement is about freedom. The freedom to spend your time however you choose. For some people, real estate creates freedom. For others, it creates obligations. For some people, stock investing feels risky. For others, it creates peace of mind. This is why copying someone else's strategy can be dangerous. Your neighbor's ideal retirement may be completely different from yours. The best retirement plan isn't necessarily the one with the highest return. It's the one you'll actually stick with for 20 years. Consistency beats brilliance surprisingly often. Now let's fast forward to age 65. 20 years have passed. Both Sarah and David have built substantial wealth. Depending on market conditions, property appreciation, contribution rates, expenses, and investment returns, either investor could come out slightly ahead. That's the truth most internet gurus don't tell you. There isn't a universal winner. There are trade-offs. Real estate may provide leverage, tangible assets, tax advantages, and rental income. Stocks may provide diversification, liquidity, simplicity, and powerful compounding. The real mistake is believing retirement success depends entirely on choosing one or the other, because often the strongest retirement plans combine both. A diversified portfolio of stocks can provide growth. Real estate can provide income and inflation protection. Together they may reduce risk while increasing flexibility. Remember the fear we talked about at the beginning? The fear of running out of money. The fear of making the wrong investment decision. The fear of reaching retirement and discovering you didn't save enough. Those fears are understandable. But here's what 20 years of investing history teaches us. Most retirement failures don't happen because someone picked stocks instead of real estate. They happen because people delay investing. They stop contributing. They chase trends. They panic during downturns. Or they never create a plan in the first place. Sarah succeeded because she stayed invested. David succeeded because he stayed invested. The common factor wasn't the asset, it was discipline. So before you ask whether real estate or stocks are better for retirement, ask a more important question. Which strategy can you consistently follow for the next 20 years? Because the answer to that question may determine your retirement more than any investment ever will. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe. And if you'd like to see what happens when someone combines real estate and stocks into a single retirement strategy, indicate in the comment section because the numbers might completely change the way you think about retirement planning.